absolutely delighted to introduce my guest today. We have with us Mrs. Stuti Changle. She's a writer, traveler, content creator, and much more. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the brand new episode of Saturday Suspense podcast brought to you by LifeTalks ISM Network. This is Harshal Verma, your host for the show. And with me, I have my partner in crime, Mr. Snik Katiyar, our co host for the show today.
Thank you, Harshal, for your kind introduction, and you can just go ahead.
More. Welcome to the show, ma'am. How have you been?
I've been fine, and thank you so much for inviting me over. I'm super excited for the conversation, and I'm really excited to know what kind of questions and what kind of discussions we are going to have. So, totally looking forward to it.
All right, thank you. I'll begin with the most customary question. Did you try anything new in this quarantine?
That's a very good question. I've tried a couple of things in this quarantine, something that I've not done before. And one of the thing is actually trying my hands at gardening a little bit. So I was never into plants as such. And in the quarantine times, I have took some time out and kind of understood different kind of plants. And I've also planted a couple of plants, and lemongrass turns out to be my new favorite. So every time I pass by my pot, I pluck one leaf, I smell it, I revel in its glory, and then I also add it to my tea. So one of the things in quarantine that I've discovered is my newfound love for plants.
Oh, that's great, and certainly great for me because I come from environmental engineering background.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Now we'll move on. हम लोग को जो जोड़ता है सबसे बड़ी कड़ी है वो है that we all hail from engineering background. So do
Yes.
you. So what was college life like during engineering, and you were privileged enough to experience it 2 times also during your MBA. So how was your college life?
To be very honest, Harshal, जब हम कॉलेज में होते हैं, so we feel that ये टाइम जल्दी निकले. Like so, मैं बताती हूँ, इसकी एक जर्नी होती है. In the first year, you're not very happy. You're like, कहाँ आ गए हैं, क्या चल रहा है, ये कब खत्म होगा. Then eventually in your second year, the things start to, you start soaking in certain stuff, and then you start liking things and you're okay with it. But you're not still in love with your college. But I think it's only when the third and the fourth year comes in, when the placements are done, everything is done, and it's time to say bye-bye to the college, that you start realizing how much you love this, how much you love this feeling of being together. You've made so many good friends. So I think while I was in college, be it engineering or MBA, I never realized its value. It was only when I had graduated and I had started my new life, my new job, that I realized what an amazing bunch of friends, what an amazing life I've left behind. So when I was in college, I was very okay about it. I was not very happy. So with me, there's another backstory. Since you guys have gotten into an IIT, I'm really jealous. I couldn't get into one, and I was in a regional college, so I wasn't very happy, like especially with my engineering. With my MBA college, I was still very happy when I had started or I had joined in, because I had scored decently well in CAT. तो मैंने अपना पूरा बदला CAT में निकाला था, and I was in a decent, good, reputed college, and I was very happy. But अगर आप मेमोरीज की बात करोगे तो दोनों कॉलेज में से कोई भी एक दूसरे से कम नहीं था. I have made amazing memories in both the colleges, and to anyone who is listening to this podcast, and if you are in college right now, this is the time. Live it up. ये time नहीं आएगा वापस कभी.
Well, I'll assure you of something else, which is even after getting into IITs, a lot of people here are also unhappy that they couldn't make it to IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, IIT Kanpur. So this never ends.
I think it's a never-ending crib, right?
So,
we as students,
yes,
we have this never-ending. Yeah, it's very human.
Yeah. All right, so we'll move on. You eventually took a job after your MBA, and then finally the foray into writing happened. So how did that transition happen? What was the drive? How did things happen?
Okay, so my first transition was actually from engineering to MBA, which happened because I was clueless about what I wanted to do with my life. And I was just buying some time to delay the decision. I did not want to take the decision of, writing my first book or living the dream that I have always wanted to. And I was gathering some courage, I think, because of which I actually was just delaying. सो इट वॉज लाइक MBA करने से मेरे को 2 साल और मिल जाएगा सोचने के लिए कि करना क्या है. सो MBA वॉज दैट काइंड ऑफ अ डिसीजन, ब्रूटली ऑनेस्ट, टोटली ट्रांसपेरेंट, इसमें कुछ मेडअप नहीं. एक बार MBA में गए, MBA हो गया, उसके बाद फिर MBA में जॉब लग गई. तो तब भी ऐसा था कि जॉब वॉज जस्ट बाइंग दैट टाइम ऑफ डिलेइंग द डिसीजन टू फॉलो माई हार्ट. ठीक है, एक सेफ लाइफ जिएंगे, अच्छा खासा पैसा आएगा, अच्छा पैकेज होगा. पैकेज वाज द ओनली एल्योर, ओनली थिंग जो स्टूडेंट्स को समझ में आती है. एक्चुअली स्टूडेंट्स पैकेज के बियॉन्ड कभी लाइफ को देख ही नहीं पाते हैं, व्हिच इज अ लिटिल सैड आल्सो, बिकॉज व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड लुकिंग बियॉन्ड पैकेज, माय रियल जर्नी स्टार्टेड. सो MBA में भी मैं पैकेज देख रही थी, अच्छा मेरे को मिल गया, जॉब स्टार्ट कर दिया. Now, once I was in sales and I had actually started working on field, it was after that when I realized that no. If इसके आगे मैंने एक के बाद एक और गलती किया, डिले किया डिसीजन को, तो फिर तो मैं कभी भी अपना ड्रीम फॉलो नहीं कर पाऊंगी और ऐसे ही ये चलता रहेगा और पूरी जिंदगी खत्म हो जाएगी. So after earning a little bit of money, having some financial independence, I decided that now I will quit this job, because if there's any time that you can take risk, it is when you're young, because you don't have a lot of responsibilities. As you grow old and old, the responsibilities, they come onto you, and then you can't really take the decision of following your heart. So I decided now is the time I will start my journey to becoming a writer. And it was back in 2016 when I quit my first job. I decided and I started writing my first book. और पिक्चर जैसी दिखती है, बहुत सुंदर सी, जैसे ब्लॉगर्स बताते हैं फिल्मों में होता है, अरे यार नौकरी छोड़ दी, मैं तो उड़ना चाहती हूँ, दौड़ना चाहती हूँ, वैसा कुछ नहीं होता. इन रियलिटी व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट मनी इज द ओनली इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग. एंड आफ्टर क्विटिंग माई जॉब 2 महीने के बाद कुछ समय तो मैंने काट लिया, लेकिन जब सेविंग्स कम होने लगी ना, तब समझ में आया कि नहीं, जब तक मैं बहुत अच्छे पैसे किताबों से नहीं कमाने लग जाती, आई नीड टू फिगर आउट समथिंग एल्स एज वेल, बिकॉज अब वो टाइम आ गया है दैट यू कांट वॉक बैक टू योर पेरेंट्स एंड आस्क फॉर मनी. And that was the time that I started taking up some freelance assignments, which was related to content creation. That's why when you were reading my bio, I am a writer, I am a speaker, but I am also a content creator, because I believe in taking a little calculated risks, and I believe that you should always be independent, financially, so that no matter if you succeed or you fail, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि यार खाने के लिए घर पे पैसा नहीं है, to be honest. And that's the reason, or that's the time when I started, also doing blogging and certain other things for companies, and side by side I was writing my first book. This went on for 1 year, from 2016 to 2017, and finally in 2017 my first book released. And then what happened is obviously a history for me as well, but the most difficult time of my life, if I have to say, was 2016 to 2017, जब कोई एक्सटर्नल वैलिडेशन नहीं था, बस एक मन में सोच थी, एक मन में सपना था कि ये करना है और इसको इस लक्ष्य को हासिल करना है.
Wow, that's really nice. A little unrelated, why do you think students especially, are very focused on package? They can't look beyond it. It's a little unrelated, but what are your views on it?
It's not really unrelated, Harshal. I would say it's pretty much related, and the thing is, I was the same student, so I can talk about it. मैं भी वही बच्ची थी जिसको टॉप आना था क्लास में, जिसको सबसे day 1 day 0 कंपनी चाहिए थी, जिसको बेस्ट होना था. बस मेरे को एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर भी करना था, मेरे को अपना CV बनाना था. बेसिकली मैं अपना CV बना रही थी. एंड हम में से बहुत सारे लोग ये करते हैं, जिसमें कुछ गलत नहीं है. आप अपना CV बनाओ, that's a very good thing. Do a lot of things. Like, I really love this initiative that you guys are taking up. You guys are young. तुम लोग अभी से podcast वगैरह कर रहे हो. Think about 10 years down the line. तुम लोग कहाँ होगे? You could be a very successful speaker. क्या पता मुझे appointment लेना पड़ेगी, पता नहीं हर्षल मुझे बुलाएगा कि नहीं बुलाएगा अपने podcast पे, right? this is a good thing that you're doing. And focus on extracurriculars, focus on everything that is not studies, which gives you some exposure, which gives you some real time learning. पैकेज की जहां तक बात आती है यार, आप वो वाली बात है ना यार कि आप अच्छा काम करोगे तो आपको अच्छा पैकेज मिल ही जाएगा, बट पैकेज को अपनी लाइफ का ओनली गोल मत बनाओ. क्योंकि मैं ऐसे बहुत लोगों को जानती हूँ जो माइक्रोसॉफ्ट से लेकर बड़ी बड़ी कंपनीज में काम करते हैं, जिनका लाखों का पैकेज है पर वो अपनी लाइफ से खुश नहीं है. सो लाइफ का पर्पस ढूंढना बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है, और ये चीज हमें कभी सिखाई नहीं जाती. इसमें आई वुडंट रियली से कि हम लोगों की कोई गलती है. इट्स द काइंड ऑफ अपब्रिंगिंग दैट वी हैव. See, basically we all come from middle class families. India has a colonial past, so for a very long time we were all slaves. It is only our first generation and second generation who have started working. Someone has, you know, started working in villages. From villages somebody came to town, so exposure level is increasing generation by generation. But it's not long gone that we were colonialized and actually we were not as free. So our parents still have that mindset where they have a very conservative approach, and they don't want to just spend lavishly or, you know, waste lavishly. They still have that lifestyle because they have seen war. Have we seen war? We've just seen COVID-19. That's another thing, but we haven't seen war. A generation before our parents has seen war. So they know कि रिसोर्सेस की किस तरह से कमी हो सकती है और किस तरह से चीजों को बचा बचा के जोड़ के चलना पड़ता है. So that kind of mentality where you want a stable career, जहाँ तुम जोड़ के बचा के चलना चाहते हो, there's nothing wrong about it. And there's nothing wrong if your parents want that kind of a life for you. वो लोग आपसे वही एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं जो उनके माता पिता ने उनसे एक्सपेक्ट किया. बट आई थिंक विद दिस जनरेशन we have more exposure, we have access to the internet, and we know that what we want from life. So with our generation, I think हम अपने पेरेंट्स को समझा सकते हैं कि package is not everything. There are so many people who are following their ideas. They are starting up companies and they are doing amazing with their companies. Yes, the success rate is only 1%. I agree that 99% companies will fail. But we should celebrate the fact that someone tried rather than the fact that whether they were successful or not. And that's the kind of change that needs to come into the society. And I think with my books, I'm trying my best to write stories which change the narrative of the society and which actually encourage people to follow their dreams.
Right. I was, while doing a research on you, I came across the fact कि आपने अपनी पहली book self-publish की. Now that's a pretty big investment for someone who doesn't have a constant source of income because you were freelancing at that point of time. उसके बाद भी, you know, it's an added responsibility because you create the product yourself, you invest in it, and then you also have to go out and market it. So how did you do that?
That's a very nice question. So, you know, in the 1 year when I was freelancing, I tried and saved every penny that I could. I spent nothing on material possessions. So I would actually sleep on a mattress. I never bought a bed in the home, you know, where I was living. And I sort of cut down every cost which I felt was not very important. So, you know, you can actually very easily sleep on the ground and it's not a difficult thing. Like, you don't need to have a 40,000 rupee bed to be happy in life. So that is how I actually took some decisions in my life at a very young age, which helped me save a lot of money for my first book. And since I was freelancing, most of the projects, the ticket size was anywhere from 35,000 to 40,000. So I would do 1 or 2 projects at a time. I would only spend 10-20,000 on myself. I think that much is important. That much is basic if you're living in a city. Since I was living in Gurgaon, so you have to pay the rent and all the basic expenses. Rest, whatever I was earning. And I think that I'm also fortunate in that case because I don't have anyone to, you know, pay to. Like my parents were still working and earning, so I did not have to give to them. So everything that I would save, I would keep it for myself. And this is how I saved a lot of money before I actually self-published. Also, I actually self-published on Kindle. So Kindle publishing is for free. It's just like YouTube. It's just like a, you know, YouTube for an artist where you go and upload the video. YouTube doesn't charge you for uploading a video. Similar is with Kindle Direct Publishing, that they don't charge you. It was only when I released the paperback version of the novel and that I started marketing it aggressively that I required the fund, and I had most of it. So whatever limited resources I had, I thought bootstrapping was a better option rather than asking others for money, because what happens is that when you ask others for money, then you're also liable to pay them in case you fail. And I wasn't sure whether I was going to be successful or I might have failed. Business has equal chances. We have to be prepared. We can't just see a fairy tale picture and not be okay with the fact that we might fail. I was always okay with the fact, and I knew that I might fail. So I thought that, asking someone else wouldn't be a good option. And whatever I have in that minimum money, I need to devise some strategies and try and make it a bestseller.
Oh, so since you published on Kindle, then how did the sales come through books? Was it the word of mouth, or was it, or was there any other strategy to sort of tap into it?
With the first book, Harshal, word of mouth didn't really click for me. And all the sale that was happening was because of some or the other effort that I was making. Either I was going to events to speak, some people would buy my book there, or I would participate in some fairs and lit fest. Some of the sales would happen over there. Sometimes here, sometimes there was no defined strategy, because I was a newbie, I was a newcomer who did not have a lot of backing. So I was trying all the options out. Honestly, I was experimenting, because I also need to know in the long run that what is that one strategy which is going to work, because then I'm going to release my second, my third, my fourth, my fifth, and so on and so forth, other novels. So I really need to figure out that what is that one thing that works for me. So with On the Open Road, which is my first book, to be honest, word of mouth did not click in. And it was almost 6 or 7 months that I was literally doing a lot of events, going to places, selling it on my own. Ki please le lo, ye book achhi hai, pad ke dekho, you will like it. It was literally that level of ground sale. And after about 1 year, I think in 2018, some word of mouth started picking up. And I would say it was mostly electronic word of mouth, which is social media, that people recommending each other, writing reviews about it. But still, it was not super amazing. It was okay. And with my first book, after putting in so many efforts, in 2 years, I was able to sell some 5,000 books. But with my second book, which I released this year, one thing that happened was that I could retain a lot of readers. So a lot of people who loved On the Open Road, they bought my second book, You Only Live Once. So it gave the book an initial spike. Once it had that initial spike, somehow my second book, You Only Live Once, has at least 10 times better a word of mouth than the first one. So this book really picked up like wildfire. I wasn't expecting this kind of a response. I was like, इधर से इधर आ जाएंगे, फिर इधर से इधर चले जाएंगे, फिर इधर से इधर चले जाएंगे. But what happened was, इधर से सीधे इधर चले गए. Like, it was a big jump from first book to second book. And now second book is selling through word of mouth. Because now when I ask a lot of readers, where did you get to know about my book? Did you read On the Open Road? They're like, no, we don't know which book is On the Open Road. Actually, a friend of mine, she called me up. She said, yeah, lockdown mein achhi books padhte hain. She liked this one. So she told me ki. So I think lockdown also played, a role in sort of people getting back to reading books. And it just happened. So, in this thing, in creative field, you never know what clicks and what really fails. You can deliver a lot of, like it happens with actors as well. They deliver a lot of super hits and then achanak one movie flops and you don't know that what's the reason. So somehow it's about catching the audience's attention and people loving the stuff. And I think that's happening more with the second one. But I'm happy because both are my babies. So irrespective of which one you like or choose, I would be happy. I would be a happy mother.
That's great. I mean, I heard the Indian cinema legend Raj Kapoor once say, my failed films are like my abnormal kids. They are more dear to me. Which begs another question. Where do you see the future of readership going? The ebooks have ventured in. There's audiobooks coming in. And then there's a startup which is biting down the books into episodes and they're releasing audio versions of it. So do you think paperback will be able to retain itself? It's still the largest read model, but it's losing its ground.
Harshal, I used to think the same way that you do until 2 years back. And I was very confident that ebooks are picking up and they're killing the paperback. So, a lot of people told me that, aren't you worried you're releasing On the Open Road only as an ebook on Kindle and there is going to be no paperback? Because there was no paperback for 5 months. It actually released as a Kindle ebook. And I was like, no, I'm very confident. See, I'm a very well-researched person and I know that, this is the future. and technology is the future, and this is how it's going to be like, and it would sell. After 5 months, Harshal, I realized that India is still hugely paperback driven market. The kind of sales that I still have on Kindle is 1/50th of the kind of sales that I have in on in terms of the paperback format. So on this answer, I would say ebooks are not really very soon going to kill the market of paperback, but audiobooks are on a rise, and they are all an all-time high. They are rising at a very unprecedented level. So ebooks might not be a threat to the paperback market, but I strongly believe that Audible and audiobooks and all the things which is coming in the form of especially non-fiction. People love listening to non-fiction. They're like, we are driving and there's a podcast playing or there's an audiobook playing. It's very convenient for everyone in their lifestyle. So definitely audiobooks is going to capture even bigger market in the future, and I do feel it going that way. So I think authors like me or anyone else should make strategies so that eventually they are able to convert all their paperback customers also into uh, audiobook customers, so that they love the content. And see, in the end, Harshal, it's all about the content. Content is the king in the future times. Now, whether it is being served via TikTok or via Instagram or via a book or via YouTube, I think these things in the long run will become a little unimportant. The most important thing is content. Its format might not be that important, but if the content is solid, then no one can stop it from becoming a super hit.
I asked you that question because does that affect the way you write? Because audiobooks, the new audiobooks that are coming into the market, they aren't just reciting what you've written. They're breaking it down by AI tools, and they're reciting what the listener wants to listen to. So will that have a change on the writing style of the writers? They'll be more driven towards writing books that are favorable for the audiobooks.
I think it's always a very personal choice, Harshal. I feel while some writers who would be the early adopters, whenever anything comes in, there are early adopters who take it in the first place. And I think all the early adopters in our, in my colleagues are going to do that. Because, in the end, it's about not just surviving, but thriving. You need to create a difference with what you are doing, because if you don't have that reach, then there's no point. Like, you chose this career because you could create an impact, and if that impact is not happening, then it doesn't make sense, right? So all the early movers are obviously going to pick it up, but I think all the traditional authors, or all the people with a traditional or a conservative set of approach, I think they might not change a lot in terms of their writing style. And I think in that case also it's not a problem, because when you're that established, you generally have someone who does that. Like, narrator is not the author, and sometimes in narration a certain changes are made suiting to the format that the video is the audio is going to play on. So I think in that case, authors are definitely going to partner with people who can get it done for them.
All right, I'll pass the mantle to Snig now.
Okay, thank you so much, Harshal, for your wonderful questions. And hello, ma'am.
Hi,
I
Snig.
really loved your, yes, ma'am. I really loved your answers, and especially the one you said that package is not the only important thing, and parents should understand that. And I appeal to all the parents to please take care, like take a note of it, and like we can actually do a lot of stuffs apart from that also, like in today's generation. So yeah, so ma'am, let's change the mood a little bit, and I'm bringing to you 3 rounds right now. First one is the
Wow.
rapid fire round, and the
Okay.
next one is the yes no round, and the last
Okay.
one would be a situation round.
Wow,
So
so now we are into the fun part of the conversation.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. So like first the rapid fire round with Stuti Changle. So ma'am, your first question is, what is your favorite movie dialogue, and can you just enact it as well?
Okay. बड़े बड़े शहरों में ऐसी छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती है, सेन्योरिटा.
Amazing, ma'am. Okay, the next question is, one thing about Stuti Changle that no one knows.
That I am very particular about things. I get finicky at times.
Okay. What is something you will not be doing in 10 years down the line?
I would not be spending as much time on phone or any digital device. Anyways, I've cut it down to 32 minutes a week, but I want to make it like nil.
Yeah. So like there is a fixed time for you to actually go on the phone and interact with your audience and stuff.
Yes, yes,
Like you
yes.
have,
I have sort of made it very, very organized, because otherwise it just takes so much of your time. And I think there's so many more things to do. So I'm enjoying little things in life. Like I just mentioned, gardening, meditation and other things. So I want to cut my digital time.
okay, that's great, ma'am. What is your guilty pleasure?
Chocolate mousse.
Okay. If you were not an Indian, which nationality would you prefer to be? Like, which country
Hmm,
would?
that's a very, very interesting question, because I haven't thought of it. Maybe French?
Uh, like any reason, particular reason behind that?
Yes, I think because the more I've read about their culture and the more I've read about Renaissance, like I really feel that I belong to that era. So I would want to go back in that century, be a writer there, and yeah, I just feel like I feel nostalgic about that part of time. While I've never been there, so it's kind of really weird. But I would love to go back in time and be when it was still on, and all the big artists and all the big painters and all the big writers were still apart. And I would like to have a conversation with them. Like I would want to sit on a table and talk to them and have dinner.
Okay, that's amazing, ma'am. So we are over with the rapid fire round, and now the next round is the yes or no. Like if you are like sure about the like you if you know the answer, you'd say yes. Otherwise, you can just say no. Okay. The
Okay.
first question is, uh, have you ever proposed a guy and got rejected?
Yes.
Ma'am, if you want to share.
Okay. Um, Actually, it wasn't a direct proposal, but once, so it happened in school that there was
Okay.
this guy I had invited over after some function to speak with, but then he did not seem very interested, and he didn't even know that I was going to propose next, so I didn't even propose him. But then I was really heartbroken for about 6 months. Then
Okay, ma'am. It happens, I think, to all
it
sitting
happens
there
with
as well.
everyone, and I think it happens
Yeah,
in school the more, school and
yeah,
college.
it's okay, ma'am. Do you believe in miracles?
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, the next question is kind of weird, but still, like, we really wanted to know this answer. So, like, I don't know if it has happened to you, but it happens to a lot of people. Like, if you meet some person of opposite sex and like the guy after meeting for several times like the guy falls in love with you and you had no feelings as such with like regarding that person. So like there is one situation where the when the like guy like proposes the girl and says his like states his feelings in front of her. So ma'am उस समय पे लड़कियां कुछ ऐसा आंसर देती है that's really confusing for the guys. So like can you just answer it like so can you just like let us know if it's a completely no or like there is a chance of like if there is a chance that in future you might be like interested or that's why you just like टाल दिया आपने उसको ऐसे ही.
I think I'm a kind of person who will always choose a side. So it will always be completely yes or completely no. I don't like investing in my time and energy in anything that doesn't get to anywhere. So whether it's work or whether it's a relationship, I invest only in things that I see. So I'm a very result oriented or a goal oriented person. So I would always say completely no. I wouldn't waste their and my time.
Okay, ma'am. Have you ever witnessed any stranger or I would say a fan of yours doing such a thing for you that you haven't even expected?
Um, as someone painted a picture of me and it was an amazing picture, so he also put it on social media and I sort of endorsed it. I liked it, and someday somewhere this person also met me in Connaught Place in Delhi, and he handed over that painting to me. I don't know whether it was completely serendipitous that we met or he knew about my whereabouts and then he handed over. He was a very genuine guy, so I did not mind. But until today, sometimes I feel a little scared that, some people might be stalking me. So it's kind of weird in a way that you compromise your privacy. But that was a
Okay,
sweet
ma'am.
gesture. But that one was a
Yes,
very
ma'am.
sweet.
That's a thing. Okay. Okay, sure, ma'am. मैम ऐसा कभी हुआ है कि like generally what like people do is when they are actually invited to sing in like publicly, और आप ऐसा कभी हुआ है आपके साथ कि गाते गाते आप lyrics भूल गई हो and you sang some another lyrics and like you just covered it up, because we have heard that you are quite in, like you are your hobby is include singing and dancing, so like it might be happened like for with you, so ऐसा कभी
No,
हुआ
no,
आपके
no,
साथ?
it has never happened because I love singing so much for that matter that I remember most of the songs that I listened to twice or thrice. So I have a huge
Okay.
encyclopedia of lyrics. So that has hardly happened. In dance, it does happen that you forget a step and you are on stage. It's a wedding or something, and you are supposed to be doing this, but then just to sort of save yourself the embarrassment of so many people watching, you do some other step and then you take a back seat.
Okay, ma'am, that's great. So now it's like over. This round is over, and the next round that we have for you is the situation round. So,
Okay.
like as you already told that you are like very fond of singing and dancing as well. So, like I will be now giving you some situations, and after
Okay.
hearing that situation, whatever song that comes to your mind, hearing that situation, like either you say that song or can you just like sing for
Sing
us?
the
It would
song.
be
Perfect. If I would know how
awesome.
to sing, then I'll sing. Otherwise, I'll just say.
Okay, okay, sure, ma'am, no problem. Okay, the first situation is first week of lockdown.
दिल के अरमां आंसुओं में बह गए.
That's great, ma'am. When you are very happy.
जो दिल से लगे उसे कह दो हाय 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 हाय. जो
Okay,
दिल ना लगे उससे कह दो बाय 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 बाय.
okay. When you come to know that your book On the Open Road is one of the best sellers.
Mm. There's a song by Imagine Dragons, Thunder.
Yeah.
So I think I
And
would I would dance to Thunder when that happens.
okay, ma'am. Okay. When you are heartbroken.
I think this is the heartbroken song of the century. I think Channa Mere is everyone, when they feel
Okay.
sad, they want to listen
Ma'am,
to
if
this
you can
song.
sing, it would be great. Voice is
अच्छा
amazing.
चलता हूँ दुआओं में याद रखना मेरे जिक्र का जुबां पे स्वाद रखना. So I think,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Last day of your college.
That song, yeah. I'm really gonna miss this place. I'm gonna miss my college days. This is a really
Yeah.
simple and beautiful song.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the like. We really had fun, like talking to you and like knowing more about you in personal.
I think I also
And
had fun, and Harshal was amazing, and then Snick, this was also amazing. But Snick, I really feel it's unfair for Harshal. Like we did all a serious discussion now, and you
yes,
took
ma'am.
all the fun part. You took all the fun questions. But
I'm sure, ma'am.
nevertheless,
Like there are some more rounds remaining. Like he will be returning back, and he will be actually doing fun with you. I don't know, like he has his own things
okay,
to
okay.
ask.
But
So
I
yeah, he will
actually
be returning.
enjoyed speaking to both of you all. I actually enjoyed speaking. I think it was a very fun college-like conversation, and I really enjoyed being a part of it.
Okay, ma'am. So now, like, जनता के भी कुछ सवाल है, ma'am. Like, we posted question through our story, and they asked certain questions. So the first one is, how do you define success? As you are a motivational speaker as well, so how do you define success?
I think every person should find success in the work that they are doing. So if I decided that I had to write 600 words today, and if I could do it by the end of today, I am successful. don't define successes and failures, you know, on a very, very long run, or on a very long timeline, because then it becomes very difficult. Then you don't feel the sense of achievement every day. But if you set short goals, weekly goals, daily goals, and achieve them, if I had to meditate for this many, you know, minutes today, if I had to do exercise for this many minutes today, if I could stick to that timetable for even one single day, and I could tell myself before going to sleep that, yay, I did everything that I had planned, I am successful, I think each one of us would be very happy. What happens is that we define success as some events of our life. If I get a girlfriend, I will be successful. If I get a job, I will be successful. If this happens, then, and these things are generally so broad that they might happen, they might not happen. So define success in such a way that you feel contented all the time, because if you're contented, trust me, you're the most successful person on this earth.
Okay, that's a very beautiful answer, ma'am. What's that feeling that drives you crazy to like write? That's an
You know, there's no one feeling, but there are a couple of things that act as triggers. So one of the triggers is water. If it's raining, if I take a good bath, anything related to water, if it's there, if I listen to the sound of water, it sort of, you know, I don't know, changes something within me. I love the feeling. So I start writing. One of the triggers is traveling, which is of course not happening right now due to the current COVID situation. We are not even traveling to work every day, which we used to. But traveling is again a trigger for me. Uh, Dancing and exercising also acts as a trigger at times, because I get that high, that much needed high. I feel so fresh, and then certainly I feel suddenly I feel that there's this whole rush of thoughts that I want to write down. So there are a couple of things that act as a trigger. So I make sure that I am indulging in all that activity so that they act as a trigger, and then I'm able to write.
Okay, that's great, ma'am. Ma'am, we have heard that you actually go to Starbucks Gurgaon, and that's your favorite place where you actually made it like write down the books and all. So, like, for in this quarantine period, are you actually visiting there, or are you planning to write another book? Like, that's one more question.
I'm honestly, I'm not traveling there since the lockdown has begun, and I haven't been there for very long time now. Like maybe I've not been there for the longest, for the first time in my life. But yeah, maybe once, you know, the whole situation gets better, I'll start going there, and maybe I'll write another book. But it's not that I'm not writing my other book. This is the first book that I'm writing at home. The other two I've written, you know, while I was traveling or I was in cafes. But I'm still writing. But I'm not very sure when I'll write one book in that Starbucks, because now, you know, owing to the current situation, I really don't know that when's that gonna happen. Also, that Starbucks has become so famous, and so many people know the fact right now because of these interviews, that I do have so many people who talk to me there. They're like, we've read your book, you're that author, and we know. So I kind of also don't feel very much, you know, I would say the privacy is not there anymore.
Okay.
So sometimes I'm writing, but people come and then they disturb, then they start talking. So, you know, sometimes it's really good, but sometimes when you really want to be in the zone and you want to write, then it becomes a little challenging. So a lot of people know me there now that, हाँ ये वही writer है.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah, it might happen like a lot of times that you go there and write, and suddenly a fan comes and like breaks your
This happened
attention
once,
towards
and
it.
one of my friend was there with me, and she's like, तुझे तो बहुत लोग जानते हैं यार, हम लोग तो तेरी वैल्यू नहीं करते थे. मैंने कहा अब कर लो थोड़ी वैल्यू मेरी. देखो लोग आके पूछ रहे हैं.
Okay, ma'am. When you need motivation, where do you go and whom do you approach?
When I need motivation, I go to my husband. And I think he is like one of the finest and most sorted person that I've met, and I think that's the reason I finally married him. So we dated for a long time. I met him in 2013. I got married last year, and he's an entrepreneur himself. So he so much understands all the problems and all the situations, dilemmas that, you know, entrepreneurs go through. And whenever I want any advice, be it career, professional, anything, I really look up to him as my mentor.
Okay, that's really beautiful, ma'am. Ma'am, that's the last question is a very basic one, but like everyone wants to know that. So, how to start writing a book? Like, what's the basic
Okay.
thing that?
So one of the things, before I tell you that how to start writing a book, please finish the book. A lot of people start writing the book, and starting the book is not that a big problem. You can start it anytime. There's no how to. You can sit today, write a few pages, and start the book. How will you end the book? And will you end the book is a bigger question. A lot of people leave their scripts halfway. Don't do that. Like, don't leave anything that you're starting halfway. Have a plan. So generally people think that, creativity is something that comes and goes and I can't have a structure to it. But try and have a structure to it. Like, make a plan that अगर मैं आज लिखना शुरू कर रही हूँ तो 6 महीने में दिसंबर तक मेरा ये चीज या मेरी ये बुक खत्म होनी चाहिए. Then structure it into sub parts. Allocate certain deadline and timeline to those parts and work in that way. So how to is not very important, but the most important thing is that when you have started writing the book, do you have the plan to finish it? If not, make that plan first. Otherwise it will always be a half written, incomplete work, and you will only get the happiness or the contentment after you actually finish and release the work. There's no feeling like that.
Okay, that's wonderful, ma'am. So thank you so much, ma'am, for answering their questions, and I hope the audience gets their answers. And now, Harshal, you can just take over.
All right, thanks, Nick. Ma'am, you just talked about your relationship with your husband. I read you dated for 5 years and then eventually entered into marriage, which is pretty commendable in the way that things are in these days. So what are those traits that keeps two people together for such a long time?
It's a very simple answer, Harshal. From my experience, if I have to tell you, there are not a lot of things that two people need actually to be together. There are only two things. First one is understanding. You need to understand the other person well. Like, you can't have certain expectations of the other person when you're not willing to understand their problems. Like, you can't be selfish in a relationship. There has to be a sense of camaraderie, and there has to be a sense of understanding between the two. If it's not there, then maybe this is not your final relationship. We all commit mistakes, and then we move on, we find new partners. But a partner that you really want to settle with has to understand you. They cannot just be about themselves. The whole sense or the whole thing has to be about us, and that whole feeling of us has to be there. Second thing, or the final thing that I would say that has worked for us, like me and my husband, is that we are really encouraging of each other's careers. So while he wants to see me as the most successful author, I want to see him as the most successful business person. And what happens is that because of this, we never actually interfere. So even if he has a meeting late night, even if he's not coming back, even if he has to travel abroad and he's not in India for a long, I never nag, I never complain. I know that it's his goal, it's his life, and it's his life's purpose that he needs to achieve. Only when he will be satisfied with his work or with his purpose will he be a happy man, and only when he will be a happy man he can keep me, or let's suppose in the future, kids or family happy. If the person is not content with himself or herself, then they spread the negativity. If you have not had a good day at work, then you're going to come back and shout at someone at home, and someone is going to suffer because of that. So one of the things that we do is that we actually appreciate each other, and we give the space to be working for our respective field and for our respective careers, and that kind of space that we've given. So understanding and space, if I have to sum up, are the only two things that can lead to a long-term relationship. And in our case, we've never had a fallout. We met in 2013, and since that, to last year when we got married, to now that we have completed 1 year of wedding, we've never fought. We don't have time. We are so busy with our work, and we are so busy creating an impact that we hardly, when we meet, we only discuss ideas. We only discuss more amazing ideas, and we only discover and discuss more and more and more amazing ideas. So we talk about all the random things from parallel universes to all the things, but we just discuss ideas. We don't complain, and we don't discuss other people. So that, I think that's the strongest foundation of our relationship.
Which brings me to my another question. What does a 21-year-old Stuti Changle look in her potential partner?
What does a
20-year-old Stuti Changle look in her potential partner to be?
Okay, as a 20-year-old, I think I was pretty confused, pretty stupid, pretty immature. And I think I can confidently say that now, since I'm not 20 anymore. And I'm being very honest, because I thought that only a good looking guy, I guess, uh, I think my only parameters were that थोड़ा बहुत ठीक ठाक दिखना चाहिए, इंग्लिश थोड़ी बहुत बोलनी आ जाए, एंड ठीक है, मतलब थोड़ा बहुत एडवेंचर वगैरह करे, थोड़ा घूमने फिरने का शौक हो. इससे ज्यादा मुझे लाइफ समझ नहीं आती थी. But eventually when you grow, old, and when you get a little bit of maturity in your whole sense, you realize that these are the least important things in life. Anyways, the other person is going to change how they are going to look in the coming 20 or 30 years. Nobody looks the same. Like I used to look very different in 20. I look very different right now at 27. I would look very different at 37, 57. So it's anyways not a constant thing. So it's a very stupid thing. So as a 20-year-old, I think I was very immature, and I was looking for really stupid traits, and I did not know the difference between infatuation and love. I think it was only after I met my husband, I had a serious, good relationship, that I realized that how having a good relationship can have such a positive impact in your life. And how can you be successful? A lot of successful people have successful relationships. Mind me, because if your relationships are tortured, if your relationships are troubled, तुम आधा टाइम अपना रोने धोने लड़ाई में वेस्ट करो, तुम लाइफ में बड़ा क्या करोगे यार? But if your one part of the life is sorted, and if you're happy, then the other part gets sorted very easily. So get your relationships sorted, your work will get sorted on its own, and you will be a satisfied and happy person.
Well, you remarked that success should be looked in terms of contentment. But have you always been like this? Do you always have this sense of equanimity where you can look at success not just from a career perspective, but from a contentment point of view?
No. I there was a time when I just wanted to achieve everything, and I thought that money is success. I thought that having a lot of money will make me successful, and if I want to be successful, money is the only thing. And then I read it somewhere, I don't remember exactly where, that I'm going to ask this question to you, Harshal, right now. That you've won a lottery, you've won a $20 million lottery, and you've been really eyeing on this lottery. But at the same time, you get to know that unfortunately, someone from your family met with an accident and they are in the hospital. Now you can either go to the hospital or take the lottery. What will you do?
That's like a most classical dilemma. But you obviously will go to the hospital because you value your
Hospital, which
family
means
more.
that some of the most important things in our lives are people around us, are the relationships that we nurture. Then when it comes to success, why do we only look at work at why do we only look at work as being a place where we have to be successful or not successful? You could have the best of job in life, but you could have a family that sucks because nobody loves each other. When you come back home, you all fight, you all yell at each other, you don't love each other. And but you have a job that you've always dreamt of. So see, success, the definition has to be very balanced. It shouldn't just be work. ऐसा नहीं कि मेरी एक बुक सक्सेसफुल हो गई तो मैं दुनिया की टॉप नॉच राइटर हूँ, मेरी एक बुक फेल हो गई तो मैं दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी वेस्ट राइटर हूँ. Some events, some moments shouldn't define success, because in the end it's the journey that counts. Success and failures are the milestones, and both of them are going to happen. It's like a sine wave. Like it's not कि success रहेगा, फिर तो वो linear equation मतलब linear हो गई ना यार. सक्सेस से फेलियर पे आओगे तभी तो फेलियर से सक्सेस क्या है समझोगे. वो उतार चढ़ाव तो होना जरूरी है, and that's the journey of life. So you can't live lives in just being successful. You have to appreciate that only after failure comes victory, only after defeat comes victory. So life is a whole balanced sine wave. It's not like a linear line कि हाँ success. तो फिर आपको success कैसे feel होगा ना, आपको failure के बाद ही success feel होगा. So I rather say that don't focus on success in life. Focus on contentment, focus on a balanced life, focus on a life when you're trying out new things, not holding yourself back, and live life fully. That is more important than being successful. Or nobody is a constant success, nobody is a constant failure. Everybody has been successful at some point and will be a failure at another point, and same holds true for anyone else. So think of it as a whole, journey, and live it well. इतना tension क्यों लेना है?
Well, you're just 2 books old, but I wanted to ask this: have you ever had a writer's block? And if you did, how did you sort of get through it?
I've had a writer's block pretty recently in the lockdown. एंड आई वॉज वेरी हैप्पी कि लॉकडाउन हो गया है तो भी मेरे पास इतना टाइम है, अभी मैं बहुत सारा लिख लूंगी. बट दैट डिड नॉट हैपन. And I think majorly it happened because I've always been a person who seeks experiences, who talks to people, and who then translates them into stories. Now that I have nothing, neither do have any experiences that are new except for the ones that I'm doing at home, and that I'm not meeting a lot of people, now is when I've actually felt that what block actually feels like. And yes, I've been in a sort of total block situation, but finally I found a way out from it, and I'm again writing. So I was writing, then I met with that block, then I wrote for some days, then again there was a block of 15-20 days, I could get no ideas, and again I've picked up and I'm starting. So this has been the most turbulent phase of my life in terms of writing block.
One last question. I got this through another audience only. It says, is your writing very routine based, or do you take the liberty like an artist? You know, आज मन नहीं है तो नहीं लिखेंगे. It's pretty much about how you feel and you are able to sort of put it into words.
So I sit down every day. I do have a routine. There's a balanced, I would say, approach in that case. But if I don't get ideas, I don't force ideas on me. Then I start reading articles. I start reading about things. I start researching about things. So let's suppose if I'm writing about X place, then I start reading about that place, about its history, about its people, and I do all my secondary research or that kind of thing. So if I'm not getting the ideas, then I sit down and do this. But I don't waste time. So I do have a time कि 9 से 5 या 9 से 6 मुझे बैठना है. Until and unless it's a weekend or I have some other engagement or I have a recording or anything else for that matter. So I do have that time, that when I have to work. But if I'm not getting an idea within that time frame, then I might also spend my time doing other things like researching. And sometimes it happens that I'm traveling in a metro, let's suppose, and I suddenly get an idea, but I don't have my laptop in front of me, so I take up my mobile phone and I also write at that time, because I know that if I don't write this idea right now, tomorrow I will struggle really hard to remember wo kya yaad aaya tha. It happens with everyone, right? So in that case, even if I'm in a metro, then I will write down. So I try and have a little bit of balanced approach.
There's a bunch of good Indian writers, young Indian writers coming up. They're fresh in their content. So do you guys bond as a fraternity? And if when you do, is it very friendly, or you are still striving to look to sort of from a competitive perspective?
To be honest, Harshal, I have been in touch with some of the writers who are like from my, who were launched at the same time when I was, and we do keep in touch. Like some of them were also invited to my wedding, and they were there, and we keep in touch. So there are a couple of authors that I am in touch with, and there are a couple of authors. While our audience set is the same, they are a little senior to me, not in terms of age, but in terms of they entered the industry. Like somebody had their first release in 2013, in 2015. So I think that group is still to be tapped by me. Like I have not really been in that circle, and I have not been, it's not that I don't want to be, it's that never got an opportunity or never really spoke to anyone, that for that matter. But anyone who was launched in and around sometime when I was 2017 18, and all the people that I met while I went to lit fests and all, a lot of them have been in touch on and off, if not on WhatsApp then on Facebook. So we guys do bond well, and we guys do keep in touch that ways. We also support each other's work. So when their books release, I put down a post. When my book releases, they put down a post. So I think that ways it's a very friendly and a nice community to be in.
So, any favorites in the upcoming writers in this Indian ecosystem of yours?
To be honest, very, very honest, I don't read a lot of fiction books from India. So while I am a fiction writer, and a lot of my, contemporaries or let's say seniors are writing fiction, when it comes to reading, I read a lot of non-fiction. And most of the books that I would have read recently are from foreign authors. Like I've read Ikigai, the last book I read last month, because I've not read for some time now. was Ikigai. And again, it's like a book by someone that I don't know and I've never met. So, but the book is amazing for that matter. So I don't read a lot of fiction. I have read some of the fiction works. Like I've read most of Amish Sir's books, which is Immortals of Maluha. I've read Ravan and all. So on and off, I have interest in fiction and I do read them. But again, like they are very senior to me in the industry. So I really look up to them and sort of I don't comment on their work. I mean, obviously they're doing amazing and they're great writers. We all look up to them. We are like, hum kash kabhi inke jitna acha ban sake. So that's how it is.
All right. Now, this is probably the last question. What has been your most enriching travel experience so far?
Most enriching travel experience, ये तो आपने मतलब Pandora's box खोल दिया है, because इसका तो छोटा आंसर भी नहीं हो सकता. I've traveled to 13
So if you
plus
just
countries.
had to zero down on
One experience that was the most
one that stands out,
amazing.
one that you didn't expect it to be that great, but it just surprised you, punched above its weight.
So does it have to be a terrible experience?
I was asking, any experience, that turned out different to, what you expected before you traveled to that place. Something that you can cherish
Okay.
probably for the rest of your life.
Actually, I'm not getting it. Like cherish, so it has to be something beautiful or it has to be something strange?
Anything. I mean, you can remember it. Cherish is the wrong word to say.
Okay, so one of the incidents happened to me. I was telling to someone else as well yesterday. We were in Barcelona, and when we hired a taxi from the airport to the hotel for the transfer, it was some Uber or it was some local Uber. I don't remember the exact name, but it was more like you book it and then they come, they pick you up. So this guy came and he started playing Hindi songs and he also started to talk with us in Hindi. So it felt so amazing कि वाह यार, मतलब अपन सोच के आए थे कि अपना देश छोड़ के आए, अभी लोग पता नहीं इंग्लिश में बात करेंगे, स्पेनिश में बात करेंगे, यार ये तो मस्त हिंदी में बात कर रहा है. So we chatted with him. बिल्कुल होटल आने से जस्ट पहले one person with me, like a friend of mine, asked him कि भैया आप कहाँ से हो? वैसे तो आप नॉर्थ से लगते हो, आप दिल्ली से हो क्या? And he's like, नहीं, मैं लाहौर से हूँ या कराची से हूँ. So he was somewhere from Pakistan. And suddenly there was this silence in the cab. Everyone's like, यार हम लोग सोच रहे हैं हमको आते ही कोई इंडियन मिले हैं and he's a Pakistani. But nobody said anything. But there was this whole silence. To break the silence, the Pakistani driver told us that ये इंडिया पाकिस्तान का नाटक ना इंडिया पाकिस्तान में ही है. यहाँ तो हम लोग सब भाई भाई की तरह रहते हैं. And then I sort of discovered that जब आप स्पेन में जाते हो, जब आप बाहर की कंट्रीज में जाते हो, सारे एशियंस साथ मिलके रहते हैं. तो be it बांग्लादेशी, श्रीलंकन, इंडियंस, पाकिस्तानीज, they are all one community, because now it's not about India, Pakistan, it's about Asia and Europe. So it, sort of as a writer occurred to me that all the differences that we have imagined in our brains are actually imagined, and they are all imagined in certain way that it kind of pleases us. So in India हम लोग इस difference को imagine करके खुश हैं, बाहर वो लोग एशिया और यूरोप के difference को imagine करके खुश हैं, but in the end we are all humans, right? And we all connect over cricket, we all connect over food, we all connect over music, we connect over these little things in life. It really doesn't matter where the other person comes from. And it kind of opened my eyes in a very strange way. So I think this is a very striking, I'm also going to write about this in my coming book, so I just remembered it.
All right, this brings to the end of our session. Okay.
Thank you, Harshal, and thank you, Snigdh, for having me over. I had an amazing time on the podcast Saturday Suspense, and hope Life Talks ISM achieves all the success that it wants to. And all the guys who are watching us here, please like, share, and subscribe. They are going to come up with even more interesting stories, and they're never going to disappoint you. So yeah, until then, keep spreading the love and positivity.